I made the choice to not read anything, positive or negative. It just didn't make sense, and instead we focused all of our energies just on nurturing our relationship.
On us, yeah.
On us.
This is one of the biggest royal mysteries in recent history. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's daughter, Lilibet Diana, just hearing the name should bring up images of royal fanfare, right? Well, not exactly. Something about her birth just never added up. And now, MI6 has stepped in with a public statement that has turned whispers into full-blown speculation. What did they uncover? And why is Meghan suddenly speaking out now? If you've followed royal traditions even a little, you'd know that the arrival of a royal baby is usually a huge event. Crowds gather outside hospitals, official announcements are made, and Buckingham Palace releases carefully staged photos. When Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis were born, it was like the world got a front-row seat to history. But when Lilibet came along, silence. No grand reveal, no balcony waves, not even a blurry paparazzi shot. The announcement of her birth wasn't made by the palace, but through a post on Harry and Meghan's Foundation's website. And that's where the questions started. Let's break this down. First off, where was she even born? The official statement said Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital in California on June 4, 2021. Sounds simple enough, except there was no official confirmation from the hospital itself. For months, no one could even get a look at her birth certificate. When it finally surfaced, it added more fuel to the fire. Meghan listed herself under her legal name, Rachel Meghan Markle, leaving out her royal title, something she didn't do when Archie was born. Now, if you're thinking, okay, maybe she just wanted to move on from royal formalities, that's fair. But in the world of royal protocol, every little detail carries meaning. Why change it now? Then there's the Queen. Lilibet was named after her great-grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II. You'd think the woman whose nickname was given to this child would have some official photos with her. But guess what? No such pictures exist. The Queen was photographed with nearly all her great-grandkids, including Archie, but never with Lilibet. And when Meghan and Harry said the Queen had met their daughter via video call, Buckingham Palace stayed completely silent. That alone is suspicious. The royal family doesn't usually stay quiet when it comes to defending the legitimacy of their own bloodline. Fast forward to now, and things have gone from curious to outright bizarre. MI6, yes, British intelligence, has investigated Lilibet's identity, and the findings are apparently so shocking that Meghan has finally decided to break her silence. But before we even get to that, let's talk about the rumors that got MI6 involved in the first place. For years, there have been whispers that Meghan and Harry used a surrogate for their children. Now, surrogacy itself isn't a scandal, but in royal circles, where lineage and heritage are everything, it's a big deal. If the Sussexes did use a surrogate and tried to cover it up, that would mean official records were falsified. And that's where things get legally messy. The monarchy runs on centuries-old traditions, and any break in that lineage would create chaos. If a royal child isn't born directly from the mother in the line of succession, it could challenge their legitimacy. And then, there's the nuclear theory. Some sources claim that Lilibet might not be Meghan or Harry's biological child at all. Now let's not jump to conclusions, but let's also not ignore the red flags. MI6 reportedly found no concrete hospital records of Meghan giving birth on June 4, 2021. Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital has stayed completely silent, refusing to confirm or deny anything. Normally, hospitals don't disclose patient records, that's just standard practice. But in cases of high-profile births, there's usually some level of confirmation. Here, nothing. And here's where it gets really weird. The few photos of Lilibet that have been released, some forensic analysts believe they may have been altered. Now, we live in a world where deepfake technology is getting better by the day. AI can generate ultra-realistic images. Could it be possible that the world has been looking at digitally modified photos of a child who doesn't actually exist? As crazy as that sounds, we've seen politicians, celebrities, and even governments manipulate images to control narratives. If Meghan and Harry really are hiding something about their daughter, using AI-generated images wouldn't be out of the question. Now let's circle back to the Queen's passing. When Queen Elizabeth II died in September 2022, the royal family came together. They shared personal moments, memories, and of course photos with her. And yet, despite being named after her, Lilibet was nowhere to be seen. Again, no official pictures, no recorded visits, no mentions of her being at any royal gatherings. It's like she exists only in press releases and heavily curated social media posts. And here's another thing. Remember Archie's christening? It was a big deal, with photos released of him with family members, including the Queen. But Lilibet's christening? A complete mystery. Meghan and Harry announced that she had been christened in a small, private ceremony in California. But where were the photos? Where was the confirmation from the church? It's like everything about this child's life has been carefully controlled or hidden. This is why MI6 got involved. According to leaks, multiple anonymous tips from within royal circles suggested that the world had been misled on a massive scale. The investigation uncovered major inconsistencies in Lilibet's records, leading to suspicions that something wasn't right. Now here's where things start to get really interesting. If MI6 had uncovered proof of a cover-up, there's one question no one seems to be asking. Did Queen Elizabeth II know before she passed? And if she did, why didn't she say anything? Think about it. The Queen was the longest reigning monarch in British history. She had lived through wars, scandals, betrayals, and the collapse of entire empires. If there was one thing she didn't do, it was ignore a crisis. So let's break this down. If MI6 shared their findings with her, that means she took this secret to the grave. But why? Was she trying to protect the monarchy? Was she waiting for the right moment? Or, and this is where things get really messy, was she trying to distance herself from whatever was going on behind the scenes? Her silence might have been louder than any public statement. Now we have King Charles III in charge, and if there's one thing we know about Charles, it's that he doesn't exactly have his mother's, let's say, restraint. He's been waiting decades to sit on that throne. And if MI6 really did find something that could shake the foundation of the royal family, then he's got a serious decision to make. Does he finally address the rumors? Or does he let the mystery linger, hoping people eventually stop asking questions? Here's where things get tricky. If the royal family does break their silence, what happens next? If Meghan and Harry really did falsify records, they could be looking at legal trouble. And not just, oh, the press will write mean things about them kind of trouble. We're talking about serious fraud accusations, potential legal consequences, and an even deeper fracture between them and the crown. And the biggest question of all, if the official story isn't true, who is Lilibet Diana? Right now, Buckingham Palace is keeping its lips sealed. No comments, no clarifications, just complete silence. And that silence is making everything worse. People don't just forget scandals, they dig deeper. And the more they dig, the more strange details they find. But there's something else going on here, something even bigger. If you go back to before Lilibet was even born, Harry was already deep in controversy. And this might just be the key to everything. Let's rewind a bit. Harry has never been the picture-perfect royal. He's been the rebellious prince since day one. And for years there were rumors, big rumors, about his place in the royal bloodline. Some people questioned whether he was really Charles's son at all. Now, officially, that's just speculation. But if you look at the history of the royal family, this isn't exactly new territory. Generations of royals have had their secrets. Some were forced out, some had their records buried, and some had entire chapters of their lives rewritten to fit the official narrative. And let's just say, Harry's family tree isn't as simple as it looks on the surface. He grew up hearing the whispers about past kings who had affairs, hidden children, and family members who mysteriously vanished from public life. His great-great-grandfather, King Edward VII, had to give up his throne because he put love before duty. His great-grandfather, King George VI, was never supposed to be king but was forced into the role after his brother abdicated. And then there's King Charles III himself, who spent decades navigating scandals. This isn't just a Harry problem, this is a royal family problem. They've been covering up their mistakes for centuries. And now, with the MI6 investigation and Meghan's sudden confession, it feels like history is repeating itself, only this time, the truth might not stay buried. And that's why Harry is at the center of this storm. For years, he's been painted as the black sheep, the troublemaker, the one who betrayed the monarchy by leaving. But what if he was just following a script that was written long before he was born? What if his own past, his own family's history, was the reason he chose to break royal tradition so drastically? Think about it. He grew up knowing his mother, Princess Diana, was one of the most beloved and hunted figures in modern history. She wasn't afraid to speak out. She wasn't afraid to challenge the establishment, and she paid the ultimate price for it. Harry saw that firsthand. And if there was one thing he didn't want, it was history repeating itself with his own family. But here's the thing. By trying to escape the royal machine, did he accidentally create a scandal even bigger than the ones that came before? Did his decision to leave push the monarchy into a crisis they can't control? Right now, there are too many questions and not enough answers. If you think about it, this whole thing is starting to feel way too familiar. A royal couple breaking from tradition, a child at the center of controversy, whispers of hidden truths and altered records. It's like we've seen this before. Think about it. If the MI6 investigation was nothing more than speculation, why hasn't the palace stepped in to shut it down? If Lilibet's birth was completely normal, why not release proof and end the controversy? Instead, there's been complete silence. No statements, no new photos, no public appearances. And when people stay quiet in the face of accusations this big, it usually means one thing. There's something they don't want the world to know. This is the kind of crisis that could shake the very foundation of the monarchy. The British royal family is built on history, legacy, and an unbroken bloodline that stretches back centuries. Every royal baby represents continuity, ensuring the future of the institution. But what happens if that continuity is suddenly thrown into question? What happens if a child presented as a Windsor isn't actually part of the royal bloodline? The entire system relies on legitimacy, and if that legitimacy cracks, the consequences could be massive. And that's where the DNA test changes everything. A high-ranking insider leaked information about a secret DNA test, allegedly conducted behind closed doors. And the results? A mismatch. If true, this means Lilibet Diana is not genetically related to both Meghan and Harry. Now let's break that down. At best, this supports the long-standing rumor that Meghan used a surrogate and hid it to comply with royal protocols. But at worst, it suggests something much darker. Was a different child passed off as Lilibet? Were official documents manipulated to protect a bigger secret? This revelation didn't just fuel existing theories, it set off an explosion. The surrogacy rumors gained new traction, with people questioning why Meghan and Harry had been so secretive about both of their children's births. It also made past inconsistencies even more suspicious. The lack of a formal christening, the absence of royal family photos, and the fact that Lilibet had never been publicly seen with Queen Elizabeth. These things weren't just odd anymore. They were clues. And speaking of the Queen, here's a thought no one can ignore. Did she know? If MI6 had this information before her passing, it's hard to believe it never reached her. She had been the ultimate authority over the royal family for 70 years. She saw scandals come and go. She watched crises unfold and carefully orchestrated damage control. If this information was shared with her, what did she do with it? Did she choose to stay silent to avoid another royal disaster? Did she leave it to Charles, knowing he'd have to deal with the fallout? Or was she waiting for the truth to surface on its own? And now, with King Charles III on the throne, the weight of this mystery falls on his shoulders. If the DNA test is real, if the investigation holds merit, he has a choice to make. Does he publicly acknowledge the truth, risking an unprecedented scandal? Or does he follow the playbook of every monarch before him, contain the crisis, suppress the leaks, and maintain the royal image at any cost. The problem is, this isn't just a palace rumor anymore. It's gone global. Social media has erupted, with everyone from royal watchers to independent journalists diving into the details. Theories are being dissected, old footage is being reanalyzed, and experts are questioning the timeline of events. The fact that the palace continues to stay quiet is making it worse. Supporters of Harry and Meghan have pushed back, calling this a smear campaign and dismissing the investigation as a coordinated attack against the Sussexes. Meanwhile, royal loyalists are demanding answers, arguing that if Lilibet isn't truly a Windsor, the public has the right to know. And then there are the conspiracy theorists, who have taken things even further, suggesting that Lilibet's photos may have been digitally manipulated, or that an entirely different child is being presented in public images. The debate has reached mainstream media, with even established news outlets asking questions they once avoided. And that's the moment you know a story has reached critical mass, when people who never touch royal conspiracy theories suddenly start investigating inconsistencies. But the biggest question remains: who ordered the DNA test? If it wasn't Harry and Meghan, then someone else with serious influence wanted the truth. Was it King Charles himself, quietly verifying his granddaughter's lineage before making a move? Was it a skeptical royal relative, someone who had noticed things weren't adding up? Or did MI6 take action independently, seeing the security risks in an unverified royal identity? And here's another layer to consider. If the results are real, why hasn't the palace used them to clear everything up? If the DNA test showed no discrepancies, they could have used it as undeniable proof to shut down the speculation. Instead, they've done nothing, leaving the public to keep asking, what are they hiding? Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan's silence has been just as revealing. Instead of directly addressing the controversy, their strategy has been to divert attention. They've made announcements about upcoming projects, released statements about unrelated topics, and pushed news stories that shift focus away from the growing scandal. Some believe they're simply waiting it out, hoping people eventually move on. Others think they're preparing a carefully crafted response, one designed to discredit the investigation entirely. But here's the truth. If this was just a conspiracy, they would have shut it down by now. The fact that the allegations continue to grow, the fact that the royal family refuses to comment, the fact that MI6's involvement hasn't been outright denied, it all suggests that something big is at play. And when secrets of this magnitude start unraveling, they don't stop. The monarchy has weathered scandals before, but this one feels different. If the findings are confirmed, the repercussions will be enormous. Harry and Meghan's public image, carefully built on the idea that they were victims of royal mistreatment, could collapse overnight. Every claim they've made, every accusation against the palace, every deal they've signed based on their status as royals, everything would be reevaluated. And financially, the stakes couldn't be higher. Their partnerships with Netflix, Spotify, and publishing companies are built on their credibility. If that credibility shatters, so do those deals. It's one thing to leave the royal family. It's another to be caught in a deception that could cost millions. And for King Charles, the monarchy itself could be at risk. If one royal child's identity is exposed as fraudulent, what stops people from questioning everything? What happens when legitimacy is no longer guaranteed? Does he strip Lilibet of her title? Does he publicly distance himself from Harry and Meghan once and for all? Every decision he makes from this point forward will shape the future of the crown. But the biggest question of all remains unanswered. If Lilibet isn't who they claim she is, then who is she? And how long can they keep the truth buried before the world finds out? The storm isn't settling, it's just getting started. So what do you think? Is this a baseless theory, or is there something much bigger happening behind palace doors? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because trust me, this story isn't going away anytime soon.